Hey y'all, we are back with another Q&A video and I'm so excited because I love making these. But before we get into it, I want to shout out all of you for getting this channel to what it is today, which is 25K subscribers.
We literally cannot believe it. I feel like it was just just a couple months ago we were at 5K subscribers and we were incredibly enthusiastic about that achievement, but we've now 5x'd it, and that is all thanks to you guys. Thank you. So we want to make sure for all the new subscribers and the people that have been a part of the family for a couple of months now, we want to introduce ourselves a little bit, talk to you about what we do, and to answer some of those questions that we see in the comments a lot, and some of the questions that you guys submitted to us. So let us get into it. Firstly, my name is Levon, 36 years old, and I am a full-time social media manager for a company called 10X Travel. That is my normal day job. It is a remote position, so it allows me to work from anywhere in the world, and I make sure to take full advantage of that.
And I'm Irene. I am, 32, and I'm a social media manager for our business, Going Farther Together.
Before we get into the questions that you guys gave us, I just want to address something that we see in the comments all the time. There's a little bit of confusion. We are digital nomads through and through. We do not live in any one particular country. We want to travel around, to see the world, and plus it helps us just to be able to make content from all the regions that you guys are interested in. So no, we are not residents of Panama or Thailand or anywhere else.
We're dating these countries. So we technically have lived in these countries because we spent at least 3 months. We were in a month in Panama, so it's a good enough time to get a taste of what these places are like, especially for someone who's looking for information, who has never been there before and just want to know like introductory level information. Then we could definitely give that. But yeah, people think that we actually live full-time in one specific area, and no, not yet at least. We're still exploring and, moving around a lot.
Yeah, and because we've been traveling full-time for over 1.5 years at this point, we do, even if we only spend a month, 2 months at a location, we know what to look for at this point in terms of visa issues, cost of living, and just interacting with locals, what the vibe is like. So yeah, now that we've gotten that out the way, let's get into your guys' questions.
And thank you for all the questions that you submitted. All right, so the first one is there anything you do differently before starting out on this journey?
Honestly, I wish we had more time to prepare to leave. But like from the moment that we made the decision, let's do this, it was maybe a month, 2 months? And we were doing this all while Irene was still working as a physical therapist. I obviously still had my position. So it was just a whirlwind. And I wish we just had a little bit of a longer runway because it wouldn't have been so chaotic. But it all worked out, and I don't regret leaving when we did at all.
No, I feel like if you want to move away, I definitely start making preparations like a year or even more in advance. Like Levon said, we were out within 3 months, packed, moved, sold everything within 3 months. And it was very hectic and chaotic, but I feel like if we have given ourselves more time, we probably would have sat on the idea too long. We probably would have procrastinated on some things. So having that crunched amount of time made things move very quickly, and yeah, I wouldn't have changed it.
So I would say though, for you guys who are thinking about making the move, don't take too long and don't go too quick. Find that happy medium. Make sure you can button everything up and then get up out of there.
Yeah.
All right, question 2. If we want children, do we foresee ourselves living the same lifestyle with children? Honestly, we wouldn't let children slow us down. There's plenty of people that do travel with children. And yeah, so that's where I stand on that.
Well, me personally, I'm still on the fence about having children, period. I gotta pray on that some more, but I do feel like even we would still be traveling with our kids, especially because we love traveling, and it's just a good experience for children to have. I personally don't want to put my kids in the education system. We would be homeschooling them and teaching them. So what better way to do that than to show them the world and they get to see and experience things hands-on. So Yeah.
And we've met a couple like families along the way, and when you see children of parents that are like doing full-time travel, their behavior is so excellent. They're intelligent. They're so thoughtful. So that I feel like that's a pretty ideal way to grow up. Like when you're growing up, you're not seeing limits, like because you've already seen the world and been here and done that. So like I think it would be ideal to continue traveling with or without children.
Yes. But I would want to have like part-time abroad and then maybe the other half of the year be in the States, because I do want to raise our kids around our families. So
absolutely.
Yeah, we would have to figure that balance out.
I mean, but we already do that now, where even though we travel full-time, we spend at least 2 to 3 months out of the year in the States at various times of the year visiting friends and family. So we would just continue doing that and maybe spend even more time in the States so that they can be around grandma and grandpa and cousins and friends and all that.
Yeah.
Question 3 is, why did we quit our reliable jobs and move abroad?
So I always knew that a traditional 9-to-5 wasn't for me, just how my personality is set up. I've always been an entrepreneur and having different jobs and working for myself and being creative in that way. So, working a traditional 9-to-5 was just an avenue for me to get to my ultimate desire, which is working for myself. And especially during the pandemic, that's when I realized that, these traditional jobs are not as reliable as society makes it seem, because I was furloughed from my job during that time, and people who have had these steady jobs for years, way longer than I was in my career, were let off. So yeah, that just confirmed the whole thing for me. I was over it.
Agreed. And on top of that, just a traditional 9-to-5 just not really being as secure as you'd think. The cost of living in the US, just bringing it back to the pandemic, post-pandemic, inflation has just been absolutely out of control. I specifically remember like our grocery bills. We go to the grocery stores, buy everything we need, and it would not be more than $80 to $100, for a week between the both of us. And it got to the point, like, 2022, 2023, like, if we just go in the supermarket and breathe, it was like $150.
So ghetto.
And it's not just groceries, all costs were going up. And, after getting a remote position, I'm like, looking at the math is not mathing for the US. If you have a remote position, or if you have the ability to make income from everywhere, and you can live on a fraction of what you're spending in the US, maintaining most of the time even a higher quality of life, and just looking at all those things, that was why we decided to move. And it has been one of the best decisions I think we have ever made, literally. So I encourage anybody that wants to pursue it and see if you can make it work for you, because it has absolutely worked for us.
Even if that means like spending a month or a couple weeks in a certain country just to get a taste of what the lifestyle is wherever you're looking to live, do that. You don't have to jump all in all at once, so.
Great advice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to question number 4.
Okay, question number 4 is, with the situations in the United States now and the political climate, are you glad you left when you did? Will these things prompt you to stay abroad longer?
To be honest, I'm not heavy into politics, but yes, I am glad that we left when we did. Honestly, wish we could have left before. But even beyond the politics, I wouldn't have foreseen us making a permanent move back to the US anyway, but this just gives us just more fuel in the tank to be over here versus being back in the States, honestly.
It just confirms everything. Like, there's, other than our friends and family, there's really nothing going on over there that makes us yearn to go back to. So I feel like it all happened for a reason. It was divine timing. Everything worked out when we got that nudge to move. I'm just glad that we left when we did. All right, so question number 5 is, was there a determining reason or moment that you both decided to be digital nomads?
So we were kind of already touching on it with the slow build, inflation, and everything leading up to it. But yes, there was a really big moment when I first brought it to Irene about, hey, why don't we move abroad. So I got hired for my remote position in October of 2023. And yeah, we were still at home and just doing like our normal thing. Nothing changed. But I remember it was around mid-December. I don't exactly remember the date, but it was mid-December. And I was watching a video on TikTok and someone was just talking about their cost of living abroad. And I'm like, wait a second. That's how much you're paying for rent. That's how much they're paying for food. And I'm like, but you know, people on the internet, they just be talking. I was like, but you know what? Let me just look into it, right? And I'm looking into it. I'm looking at the cost for 30 days at an Airbnb in Vietnam. And I'm looking and I'm like, wait a second. This could be really feasible for us. And we will be saving a lot of money compared to what we're doing in the States. So that was the moment, that TikTok video. I don't even remember who posted it. I just remember as soon as I saw that video, I immediately got on the Googles and I was like, oh, this could be a thing. Talked to Irene and then we prayed about it. We literally had like a whole big meeting for like, 2 to 3 hours. We're looking at the numbers. It was making sense.
I didn't even know that we both didn't know that this world was even an option for us. That just goes to show, like, it was just meant to be because everything started unfolding and like Levon said, we prayed about it and everything just started snowballing and just falling into place. So, just meant to be.
It was meant to be. Really like this question that we got. What's one thing that you miss being outside of America? And then what's the thing that you least miss being outside?
Well, obviously, I say it all the time. I miss my family and friends. Just being around them and being at, special occasions and just being able to I can hit people up whenever I want to, but nothing is like being in the presence of your people. So that's the main thing.
Absolutely. I second that in full. Our friends are having a housewarming. We're going to miss that. We sent them gifts, but, we'd love to be able to be there and to celebrate with them. So those things, that's a thing that we miss the most. But on the flip side, and what we miss the least is just the cost of living in the U.S.
Do we have to list it off? There's so many things.
Food quality.
Food quality, the chaos, that hustle culture that, we still have to remind ourselves that we don't have to live like this. Like that feeling that you always have to be productive and like resting. That means that you're not doing the things that you need to do or you're not moving forward in any way. Like, I don't miss that at all.
Yeah. But we miss our family and friends immensely. So when we go back to the States, we have like about 2 months before we head back to the States. We just gonna be loving on everybody, visiting everybody, and just make sure to be intentional because our time in the States is limited. So we're gonna make sure we spend it well.
So this next question actually transitions well into what we were just talking about before. It's what newfound perspective have you developed regarding friends and family?
So the last time we were in the States, I don't remember how many moons ago that was. It's been a little while. We went on like a little bit of a nationwide tour. We visited some of her friends and family in Florida. We went to LA to visit one of our really close mutual friends. So we're just gonna be doing more of that and just being super intentional. The people that we care about, that care about us, we are gonna spend time with them, catch up on things that are going on and just loving on them, letting them know how much we appreciate them, all that kind of thing.
So the next question is, how do you determine how long you'll stay in a particular place?
If you don't know, I am the planner of this duo. So I'm the one that usually takes care of how long we're staying, but I usually let the visas dictate how long we'll stay. Because we're not living permanently in any one location, there's visa requirements and typically they're like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So that is usually how we go about it. For instance, for Bali, you can spend, I think it was 30 days on a tourist visa. So we spent 30 days in Bali. So that's how I usually go about it.
Yeah.
And how do we decide the next destination?
Aside from what Levon just said about the visas, because that obviously weighs in as well. But lately we are trying to look into places where we think digital nomads, retirees, expats are interested in living, especially if there's not a lot of content about that particular place online and we've been there and we think it's actually a really good place to live. So yeah, we want to be that resource for other people who are looking to live this lifestyle as well. So that is helping us determine where to go next.
And I'll also kind of research too to see, like, does it make sense for somebody that's looking for a long-term stay outside the US? Does it make sense? And as long as it makes sense and it aligns with where other people are kind of looking to go as well too, boom. Then we'll start planning that trip. And has there ever been a time when we disagreed on where to travel or what to do next?
Not really. I'm pretty easygoing. Like, I don't really mind where we're going too much, as long as we're not spending too much time in a big city. Like, Levon knows my pros and cons. Like, I don't like staying in a city for too long with loud construction and cars and all that. So we don't really disagree on places to stay. I feel like we more so disagree on how long we're going to be gone, outside of the States for. This has been our longest stint so far that we've done, and we've been traveling full time for 1.5 years, and we've been away for what?
It's been 4 months.
4 months, so it'll be 6 months in total, and that's a long time. It was a good test to see how long we can make it for. Obviously we're fine and we're surviving, but the first time was 4 to 5 months. This time it's been 6, so I think now we have communicated between 4 and 5 months. It's enough time. I'm ready to go back to see my family and stuff. Question 11. What's your least favorite thing about your current lifestyle?
Honestly, it can get a little lonely. We've done a lot better of a job this time, meeting up with some new friends overseas and meeting up with other nomads. But yeah, it just gets lonely, and we touched on this and harped on this, but we really do miss our friends and family back home. And there's nothing like, having your tribe and your people. And yes, we're meeting new people and things along the way, but it can get a little repetitive because you're building from scratch over and over again.
Introductions, and you're only going to be with these people for a short span of time anyway. So it's like you said, you're starting from scratch, and that can get tiring because they only know the basis level of information. Everybody does. So yeah.
And also too, sometimes just not being able to get into a real long-term routine. We just moved to a new country, so we kind of have a basic routine, but to really flow into it, it kind of resets every time you pick up and move. And
especially if it's a different time zone, because travel days, adjusting to the time zone, and your body trying to catch up. Yeah. But thankfully, all the cons all the pros outweigh the cons. So.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're not complaining any at all. It's just the reality of the situation. We're just keeping it real. And where is the first place that you went outside the United States, individually and as a couple?
The first place I went to was Barbados with a group of my friends. That was so much fun. It was my first time ever being on an island like that. I actually want to go back at some point because the food was good, the vibe was good. I just love island life.
And I've never been, so that's good enough reason to head over there.
And together was our honeymoon. That's the first time we've ever been anywhere internationally together. That was in Mexico.
I've been to Canada, even though it's North America. But yeah, that was my first international trip with family, and then together as a couple. Yeah, was our honeymoon in Mexico. Good times. Another question that we got was, where did your love for traveling develop?
That's a good question. I honestly don't know where my love for traveling began. Yeah, I can't even pinpoint one specific time where I was just like, oh my God, this is the life. This is what I want to do. But I will say my cousin, she booked us tickets to Puerto Rico, and that was our first girls trip together, and it was so much fun. And technically that's still in the States, but I'm in my 20s, we're away from home, and it was just a great experience. And I guess you know, after traveling so many times after that, it's just like a snowball effect. I've always been like an open-minded, curious person, so learning about other cultures and different types of food and other ways people live is always intriguing to me. So I think that's how it started.
Yeah, I think mine is pretty similar too. Had a group trip to Miami for like spring break, and that was like my first time. That was my first time like doing a trip, no parentals. So yeah, that was an amazing experience. Definitely. But then what really took it to the next level was my first major international trip that was to Japan. And that just like really told me how much I really enjoyed traveling. Just like Irene was saying, just learning about a new culture, trying new foods, and just seeing a totally different side of the world and a way of doing things than what you're used to. That was when I was hooked.
Yeah, once you get bit by the travel bug, it's a wrap. You want to see everywhere. How long do you want to travel for, and do you think you'll settle down outside the US?
We're not really sure. We like to take it year by year. Every January for like our New Year's resolutions, or for that time period, we'll go away and then we'll just spend like 2 or 3 days where we just are discussing our goals, what we're trying to do for the year. And that's when we make our decision, like, okay, are we doing this for another year, and so on and so forth. So 1 January, we'll sit down and we'll be like, you know, maybe time's up.
I feel like in my spirit right now, I'm gonna say I have like a year or 2 left of doing this. Eventually, I'm gonna want my own space to just like settle into. But, you know, you never know what the future holds. I don't like to put limits on things. Like, we're
going with the flow.
We're going with the flow, yeah.
When it doesn't make sense, we won't do it. Right now, it's making sense, so we're doing it.
We get that question a lot, especially from our family and stuff.
But if we do settle down, we aren't sure whether that's going to be in the States or abroad. More than likely, I feel like just with the cost of living, it might be abroad, you know, maybe Central America, somewhere over there. So we're like a lot closer to home. We'll be able to just fly home and be able to catch everything. But honestly, we're just not there yet to make that decision. So we'll see. Oh, yeah. So the next question was, do you think you'll move abroad permanently? Didn't even know that was coming. But yeah, we don't know yet. You know, maybe it'll be a dual citizenship kind of situation, but it's honestly just too early to tell. Check back with us next January.
So I'm guessing that this question, we're kind of switching gears a little bit. It says, what helped with your success, and what tips do you suggest starting out? I'm thinking that this has to do with like social media and YouTube. That has been our biggest platform because we focus so much time and energy into YouTube. We love YouTube. So I would say consistency, and I know that's so cliche and nobody that's starting out on YouTube wants to hear that, but it's honestly the truth. I'm sorry to say, but it is, because the only way to figure out what your style of, you know, filming is, and who you're speaking to, who your audience is, and what they need and want from you, is to keep showing up and keep putting content out there. Don't be super critical about yourself. Oh, this doesn't look right. This doesn't sound right. Everyone has a bit of perfectionism inside of them, but don't let that get to you. Keep going, because you'll start picking up traction and you'll start getting clues here and there. Oh, this is working. This isn't working. I need to dive into on this. So yeah.
To add on to that too, I remember pretty vividly, like we had, not an argument, but we had a discussion, and I was like, maybe we should quit. Like, we're posting, we're doing all this work, we're putting all this content out there, and it just really wasn't getting much traction. But that's why you gotta just keep showing up. Quick sidebar, love what you're doing, because if you don't like creating content, if you don't like the topic that you're talking about, those moments when you do feel like quitting and you need to keep showing up, it's going to be really hard if you aren't really passionate about what you have going on. It took us 8 months of posting, and we were posting, I think we missed maybe 2-3 weeks tops, but we were putting out a video every week for about 7 to 8 months before we had like a video really pick up steam, and it's kind of held the course since then. And clearly we're making a video talking about 25,000 subscribers. So those would be my tips. Stay consistent, love what you're doing, keep showing up. You will get better. You'll figure out what's working. Do more of that.
Yeah, also, and figure out what your unique angle is. There are always gaps in the market. Don't think that YouTube is super saturated, because everyone is unique in their own special way, and you need to figure out what that is. Like for us, there weren't a lot of people that looked like us that was living the lifestyle that we lived. And so we knew that we needed to dive deep into this because people need to see it. So I would say just take some time, figure out what your unique angle is, and just keep going from there. The next question is your income only from creating content?
No, I have a full-time salaried position from 10X Travel. And then we also have our Going Farther Together income that Irene is responsible for generating.
Yes. Can you continuously sign up for 90-day visas back and forth from the same countries instead of going back to the US?
Great question. And for the most part, that isn't going to work. Some countries, they are a lot more lenient with their visas. Like you can do a 90-day visa, but then you have to do what's called a visa run. You need to leave the country for at least a day. Sometimes people even leave for just a couple hours. You need to go into another country and then come back, and then you can start your 90-day visa over again. A country that a lot of people do that with, Bali. Vietnam, Bali, I believe even Thailand, you can do your visa runs too. But no, you can't just keep resetting the 90 days. You have to at least do a visa run. Or just what we do is, once we fulfilled the visa stay, we'll hit the next country, fulfill that requirement, then go to the next country. So either one works.
So this person is asking us where to stay and how do we find affordable accommodations?
So the most important factor in that is how long you're going to be staying. If you are doing a permanent living situation or you're going to be there for a year, then it would definitely be best to find a realtor and get a lease, because then the cost of accommodation is going to go way down. But if you're not going to be living permanently, you're going country to country, or you're just hey, I want to spend 30 days overseas, whatever, then Airbnb has been very good for us. Knock on wood. We've had some great experiences. Go through those reviews. Make sure there's people that have stayed there recently. What are they saying? How is the location? How does the host treat them? Do they have things together? Do they have everything that you need? Because if you vet that process and really put time into it, because you're going to be staying there for 30 days, and pretty much once you get there, you can't really get that money back. So you want to really put a lot of intention into choosing your place, and that should work out.
Yeah.
And this is a very good question, because safety is super important. How do we figure out safe places to stay?
So I feel like this is especially towards females and female solo travelers. I would say if you're in the main areas, if you're close to the city center, you will be fine. Especially if you're not going into, places that are far out of the city center, you will be perfectly fine. We haven't ran into any situations because we're not in areas that we shouldn't be in. But if you want even more confirmation, I would say look into Facebook groups and reach out to people who are living in the area that you are looking into. People are very, open with that kind of information, especially in those kind of groups. So
you can ask people like us, you can ask other creators, other full-time travelers. Most people are going to answer your questions, and you'll be able to get a little bit of insight that way as well too. Really like this question. What are some of your best budget-friendly destinations for summer 25 that are not beach-oriented?
Joburg, South Africa. That's definitely an underrated big city that does not get enough attention. Does not get enough attention. In my book, there's a lot of history there. Especially if you love that kind of stuff. You can go to the Apartheid Museum. You can visit Soweto, which has a lot of history, and the food is so good, so flavorful.
Cape Town gets a lot of hype.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. Joburg food though has Cape Town. They got it there over Cape Town.
And don't be afraid, like Joburg is definitely not, it's not the safest place in the world, but there are areas that you could stay where you'll be totally fine. So don't let that deter you from visiting Joburg, because it's a very good place.
Rosebank, Santon areas are going to be really good places that we would recommend to stay when you visit Joburg.
Guatemala is also a really nice option for you as well, especially if you're not like a beach person. We went there once, and that's another place that I would love to revisit at some point. The culture is rich there. It's very vibrant. The people are very friendly and nice as well. Lake Atitlan, that's where we stayed. And there's a lot of surrounding areas that you can visit, a lot of towns that are literally just a boat ride away that you can explore. So I would look into Guatemala as well.
Yeah, those are 2 quality recommendations.
Okay, so the next question is, what's the best beach you've ever been to?
That's a perfect segue. So for our people who don't care about beaches, we just gave you some recommendations. And if you are a beach lover, I'm going to give you 2. Camps Bay Beach in Cape Town is
stunning.
Absolutely beautiful. It's stunning with Table Mountain and Lion's Head in the background. You also get like a feel of kind of like being on Miami Beach, because there's nice shops and restaurants on that like boardwalk area as well too.
It's not dirty. It's very large, so you're spaced out even on like the weekends. There's a lot of people there, but there are a lot of different areas that you can feel like you have the beach to yourself. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And then the second one I would recommend is in Samil, that's very close to Saranda in Albania. That is a very, very underrated beach, just a very underrated area in general. And it was gorgeous there. Some of the clearest water that I've ever seen.
And that was it for all of our questions that we got. Thank you so much to all of you who submitted all these great questions. Keep them coming, because we're going to keep doing these videos every now and then, especially when we hit another milestone. So thank you guys again for that. And yeah.
And if you are not already subscribed, come on, join the family and hit the like button. We will see you guys in the next video.
Bye.